And joining us now to talk about the full range of policy issues NCBA is working on is California cattleman and NCBA Policy Division Chair, Kevin Kester from California. Kevin, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You know, we always talk about weather and specifically the water condition whenever you and I are together. Give us an update on how things stand in California.
Things are a little better this year. The last 3 years, as everyone knows, we've been in a real significant drought. In my area, in the central coast of California, we're in the bullseye of that drought the last 3 years. So Mother Nature's been a little kinder to us, giving us some moisture this year. We're not out of the drought yet, but things are looking up a little bit, Kevin.
We've been hearing and reading a lot about this Dietary Guidelines issue and some of the shocking news that have come out of that. Can you update folks on why that's so important to the beef industry and give us a quick update?
Sure. Dietary Guidelines is a document that comes out once every 5 years, and the United States Department of Agriculture and Health and Human Service secretaries issue guidelines that food and nutritional policies of the U.S. government go off of this guidelines that are issued every 5 years. And so over the last couple of years, there's been an advisory dietary guidelines committee made up of scientists and other experts that have gone over and reviewed scientific literature, and they've issued a report recently and submitted it to the two secretaries on their recommendations of what the guidelines should be for the next 5 years. And so NCBA and the other organizations are taking exception to what this advisory report to the secretaries contains. For the first time ever, in this report, the committee has gone outside the guidelines of nutrition in their area of expertise and delved into some political issues of global warming and also sustainability issues. And so we're not real happy about that. And so we're doing some efforts to make sure when the secretaries do the reviews of this report that they realize that they need to stay within the scientific guidelines and do the reviews based upon what the committee's expertise is.
We could spend the entire interview talking about dietary guidelines, but I do want to hit a couple of other key issues. We spent a lot of time on this show talking about EPA's proposal relative to the waters of the United States. Tell people where that stands.
Sure. So the public comment period on the waters of the United States issue closed recently, and there was more than 1 million comments submitted. So the Secretary of the U.S. EPA, Gina McCarthy, and Army Corps of Engineers have to wade through about 1 million comments. It's going to take them several months. So by the time they get done with that, they'll make a decision whether or not they're going to issue a set of regulations covering the waters of the United States. And I hope they take those comments and decide not to do so.
You're no stranger, Kevin, to the debate over the Endangered Species Act, and certainly some of my fellow ranchers here in Colorado have been affected by that. Give us an update on that issue and some of the reforms that you hope you can get passed.
Sure. It's been since 1988, the Endangered Species Act, or what we call the ESA, has been reauthorized by Congress. So it's an outdated act. It's one of the most costly laws on the books for ranchers and farmers. So we're advocating a reauthorization, a fresh look at the act to modernize it. And there's several things that can be done to modernize it. One of the issues is that activist environmental groups have been suing for listings, the U.S. government to get these listings on, and often they get reimbursed for their actions, all the legal costs back. And we don't think that's right. And so we're looking for some modernization of the act where they don't necessarily get reimbursed because they bring their own lawsuits and it costs us harm back at the farm and ranch. Another thing is there's a lack of ability for states to weigh in on listing designations, so we're looking for the states to have the ability for some management and input on species counts, for example. Just common sense regulatory reform that would greatly help those back at the ranch and farm.
You've just wrapped up the legislative conference in Washington, D.C. Give folks an update on what happened there.
We had a real successful conference. We had hundreds of cattlemen across the country fly into Washington, D.C., go up on the Hill, we call it Boots on the Hill, deliver our messages to our members of Congress and the Senate. Successful. The message is we need to stay engaged year-round, but this is a on-the-Hill opportunity to advocate for our ideas and messages, and it was a success. And I would like to thank everybody that attended. It was a good event.
Very good. Kevin, I'm sure we'll be talking to you multiple times throughout the year. Thanks for your leadership on these important issues.
Thank you.
Every day, the NCBA staff is working on the policy issues that matter to cattle-producing families all across our country. Join in the fight for our industry's future by becoming an NCBA member. Just call 1-866-USA-BEEF or go online to the website beefusa.org.